Hey guys, it's Mike Man WBA here, back again with another episode of Can't Stop Progress. We are here with chapter 64, which is episode 23 of the series so far. We're getting along nicely now. In the middle of May, we are building up to the summer months, and then eventually our big show at the end of the year. Haven't decided where it's going to be yet. Of course, can't be Brixton Academy, because we're too big for that. Can't be Alexandra Palace, because that's now our new general location. So we're going to have to figure out somewhere that we can go for our big end of year show. But for now, we'll carry on with our normal chapters in the UK. Maybe have a little tour of America coming up. I haven't decided yet. We'll see how our pop is doing. But we'll jump straight into this show. There's 8 matches, 1 pre-show match as well. So let's get right into it. We're in front of a sellout 3,100 people at Alexandra Palace. We have a pre-show bout that had decent wrestling but little heat, where Space Monkey defeats Earl Black Jr. in 6 minutes and 33 by pinfall with a reverse 450. Earl Black Jr. with an in-ring performance of 35, a little bit disappointing, but Space Monkey on his chapter debut, if you can call a pre-show match a chapter debut, with an in-ring performance of 49, which is very impressive for the relatively new wrestler from Canada. Brought him over just as a cheap option really for Freedom's Road, and he might get the odd tryout on a chapter depending on how he progresses. But I just brought him in, and I thought it'd be cool to give him a little pre-show match against Earl Black Jr. to kick us off here. But following that, a 44D match rating and no worker improvements, we'll get onto the main show, where, as always, we have Jim Smallman welcoming the crowd to the show with, quite impressively for him, a 35E+. And if you look here, welcomes the new general manager for Progress, which basically means if the wrestlers have any problems, they'll go to this new general manager rather than going to Jim. So this new general manager will effectively book the matches and settle any disputes, not Jim. But without further ado, we'll get this new general manager out, and it is in fact the now formerly WWE Steven Regal, obviously William Regal in WWE, the NXT general manager in real life. He was released by WWE in the game, and we've brought him in to become our general manager now. Obviously, quite good friends with Jim Smallman in real life, which is why I went with it. Unfortunately, his legend gimmick got below average, but he is getting better at it, so that's nice to see. Obviously, no worker improvements from just him showing up, but a very good 86 B+ rating for the debut of new Progress general manager William, or Steven Regal, because William Regal would be copyrighted. Then we get straight into our first match of the night for the Women's Championship, where in unfortunately a poor match, Jinny defeated Nixon Newell in 11 minutes and 51 seconds by pinfall with a middle rope X Factor. Jinny making defence number 6 of her Progress Women's title. Nixon Newell unfortunately seemed off her game, but the match got the crowd a little bit hotter. Jinny with an in-ring performance of 44 to Nixon Newell's 32. No worker improvements unfortunately, and a match rating of 41 to kick us off. Not great, but could be worse. Then our next match, following another little dispute on Freedom's Road with Doug Williams, he defeats the returning Fabian Eichner in 13 minutes and 27 seconds by pinfall with a Chaos Theory. Match getting the crowd even hotter. Doug with a 62 in-ring performance, and Fabian Eichner getting himself a 37. For a 54 C- match rating overall, no worker improvements. Fabian Eichner, if I remember correctly, coming towards the end of his contract, and I probably won't be renewing it, to be perfectly honest. Same as Jürgen Simmons, I just have nothing for him. And now that we've moved up inside and we're having to pay downsides, I need to get rid of some of the people that I'm not using as much. And Fabian Eichner still hadn't moved to the UK, was still in Europe, so I'm having to pay to fly him over as well, which is he costs more than he's worth at this point, effectively. So he goes out on a loss to Doug Williams, who that's now his second consecutive European talent he has defeated. And following that match, he picks up the microphone, he cuts the promo about British being better. He is the living evidence of this, and on the next chapter he wants to prove that again by taking on an American talent. So he's taken out 2 Europeans in Jørn Simmons and Fabian Eichner, and he wants to show that the Americans should stick to their Ring of Honors and their impacts and the WWE, and that progress should be for the British workers. And on that basis, it looks like he might be building towards potentially trying to take that Atlas Championship from Walter, or Volta. I say his name differently every time. But Doug, he is above £205, so that is his. It's either the Progress Championship or the Atlas Championship, and considering there's a lot of people at the top of the card at the moment, it looks like he might be going for that Atlas Division Championship instead. Following that, we have a tag team match where, in a bout that had decent wrestling but not a lot of heat, the London Riots pick up another win, this time defeating the returning War Machine in 11 minutes and 56 seconds when James Davis defeated Hanson by pinfall, with the London Calling. Obviously, War Machine, their first chapter show for me in the series, but they've been around a few times in real life, as well as very recently at the recent Birmingham show which I was at, and they were phenomenal. This match, actually, it was War Machine versus the Riots. War Machine coming on top in real life, but here London Riots have come up on top. They are, of course, the #1 contenders for the Tag Team Championship. However, that match will not be happening till the next show because of a 6-man tag match happening later on in the episode between CCK and British Strong Style. But back to this, James Davis getting better at his gimmick. The 2 members of War Machine have excellent chemistry teaming together, which is always nice to see. Rob Lynch getting himself a 45 in-ring performance, James Davis a 46, Raymond Rowe a 43 and Hanson a 38. No worker improvement, unfortunately, but War Machine London Riots with a very solid 47D match rating, which I am very happy with. War Machine I'll look to be using quite a bit. Unfortunately, due to the fact that this save was started quite a while ago, I'm on the March database at the moment. War Machine hadn't yet won the IWGP Tag Team Championships over in Japan, so they're not quite as over in terms of popularity around the world, and I think a couple of their stats probably got boosted recently as well. So in-ring performances not as high as they probably could be, but considering the point they were at in their careers when we started the save, I'm not too disappointed. They only had the 1 Ring of Honor Tag Team Championship reign under their belts. Following that, however, we have the next match of the Natural Progression series, the final semi-final match between James Drake and Leo Rush. However, Leo Rush, while making his entrance, is attacked from behind by James Drake. Drake throwing him into the crowd, hitting him with a couple of chairs, throwing him into pillars, into walls, attacking him at ringside, eventually rolling him into the ring, telling the referee to start the match, hitting him with his DDT finish, and then getting the pin in a very, very quick one-sided match against Leo Rush. So unfortunately, Leo Rush out of Natural Progression following a vicious attack by James Drake. But you have to think that Leo Rush will be out for revenge on James Drake and will not let him get away with this lightly. But James Drake advances to the final of the Natural Progression series for 2018 alongside Jack Sexsmith and Lewis Gervin, and they will have a 3-way match either on the next chapter or the chapters following, probably the next chapter, and we'll see who the winner of that will be. Following that, however, we have a Atlas Championship match where, in a decent match, Volta defeated the bastard Dave Mastiff in 13 minutes and 21 seconds by pinfall with a golden bomb. Walter making defence number 4 of his Atlas Championship title. Unfortunately, Dave Mastiff sustaining an ankle tendonitis injury while getting an impressive in-ring performance of 45 considering that injury. Walter with a 43, and Mastiff also improving his flying skills. Obviously having to go above and beyond in his quest to take down Walter. Probably the 2 biggest men in the company, and one of them improves in their flying skills, which just goes to show that performance they must have put in. So we see here Johnny Kidd telling us that Mastiff sustained that injury, but it doesn't look like it was caused by a botch by Walter, so there shouldn't be any morale hits, hopefully. Following that, we have a decent match where 2 men who will look to prove where they belong in the card. Jordan Devlin and Mark Haskins. Their match ends in 13 minutes and 52 when Mark Haskins defeats Jordan Devlin by pinfall of the Painkiller. Jordan Devlin getting an in-ring performance of 53 to Mark Haskins' 62. No work improvements, but a very, very good 63C match rating for these 2 guys. Devlin wasn't quite in, didn't quite come in time for that Ireland show that we had very recently. I believe it was Chapter 63 was over in Ireland. But Jordan Devlin, he's here for Chapter 64, looking to make an impact. His first chapter show in quite a while, his first chapter show of the save, I believe, and not sure if he'd debuted for Progress on the game before this. I know he's been there in real life, I can't remember what chapter it was. But Jordan Devlin just losing out to Mark Haskins, who cuts a promo after that match saying that he's coming back for his title. He hasn't had a shot at it for a while. I believe it was probably the triple threat against, I think it was a triple threat against Ospreay. Or a match against Ospreay perhaps was his most recent one. And he wants to get back up there. He never lost his title, he had to give it up. And he wants it back. And he will fight for his place at the top of the card. Following that, we have the 6-man tag match that I mentioned earlier between CCK and British Strong Style, where in a decent match, the team of British Strong Style, which is Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and of course Clint Margera, defeated the team of CCK, which is Chris Brooks, Kid Lykos, and Travis Banks, in 15 minutes and 17 seconds, when Clint Margera defeated Kid Lykos by pinfall following the use of a foreign object by Tyler Bate. Unfortunately, Chris Brooks getting a strained pectoralis major tendon. I don't know if that's a serious injury, we'll have to look that up after. Unfortunately, Trent Seven off his game, but Travis Banks getting an in-ring performance of 59, Kid Lykos getting a 57, very impressive that. Chris Brooks with a 43, Clint Margera with a 36, Trent Seven with a 37, and Tyler Bate with a 56. So a very impressive performance by Kid Lykos, and a very disappointing performance by Trent Seven, who, considering he's a main eventer, shouldn't be getting the same type of score as Clint Margera, who is actually a lower mid-carder at the moment. And considering the level that Trent has got to recently, alongside Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, you'd think he should be getting more than that for a match rating. So we look at our improvements. We see that Trent actually improving in his performance skills, while Tyler Bate improved his rumble skills, and a 55C- match rating overall is very impressive. You might see down here we've got some handle changes. Need to give Clint a gimmick, because accidentally debuted him with no gimmick. However, if I do it now, it will be too soon, because he debuted not long ago at all. So we're going to have to wait for a while before we actually give him his gimmick. And following this match, we have our main event of the evening, which is actually a #1 contenders match between Axel Dieter Jr. and Zack Sabre Jr. In a way, our own little battle of the Super Juniors, both of them phenomenal athletes. Unfortunately, it was Trent Seven that caused Chris Brooks to get hurt, so there'll be a bit of heat on Trent Seven for that, a little bit of a morale hit. But in a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Axel Dieter Jr. in 12 minutes and 41 by submission with a senior stretch. Axel Dieter Jr. with a 56 to Zack Sabre Jr.'s 74. Zack Sabre Jr. improving his rumble skills as well, and a very, very impressive match rating of a 71 C+, which I think is potentially the best rating we have of the series so far. So Zack Sabre Jr., off his loss of the Tag Team Championships alongside his partner Marty Scurll, is back in. He's won a number 1 contendership match, so he will be facing Travis Banks very, very soon, and potentially Tyler Bate, considering that team beat them in that 6-man tag match. So it's probably going to be a 3-way match at Chapter 65 between Sabre Jr., Tyler Bate and Travis Banks. However, a freestyle angle afterwards, Haskins confronts Zack Sabre Jr. Mark Haskins, he wants his title back. He knows he's going to have to fight to become the number 1 contender for that title. And so he wants to face Zack Sabre Jr. for his right to be the number 1 contender. So maybe we won't be seeing a Zack Sabre Jr. match against Travis Banks. Well, you'll have to see if he accepts Mark Haskins' challenge on the next show. But we'll end this show here on a 66 C+ show rating overall, which is very, very nice to see. Unfortunately, we did get 2 injuries sustained on this show. That one to Dave Mastiff and the one to Chris Brooks. As we make our speech, we're going to congratulate Zack Sabre Jr. and Axel Dieter Jr. on their fantastic match. And we're also going to congratulate Mark Haskins, or compliment him. He had a very good showing as well. So all 3 of those guys are very happy with that. So as we go post-show to the next day, we'll have a quick look at our mail. We see one of the Revival extending their deal. Dave Mastiff, his injury is he'll be out for just over a month, so he'll miss 1, potentially 2 shows, probably just the 1. While Chris Brooks is able to work through his injury, so that's good. He will get a drop to his performances if he's not recovered by the next show, which I assume he probably won't be actually. But he'll take a drop to his performance, but he will be around to face the London Riots at the next show. So that is very good to see. Didn't really have anything for Mastiff currently. Obviously, he's just had his shot at the Atlas Championship. He is in a team still with Aldeguero. They do kind of have that 3rd member in Martin Kirby as Project Banter. But his injury is not the end of the world. But that is it for this episode, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon for the next episode, which should be coming up next week, as always. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you soon.